Hi, it's Jamie with Jamie's Arts a la Cartes. Thank you very much for joining me. I have a fun project planned for us today. I hope this video inspires you to create something of your own. If you would, hit the like button and share the video with your friends. That helps me to grow this channel and to continue to bring you new projects. If you haven't subscribed yet, would you please consider subscribing? And if you have, thank you very much. Well, we have a lot to do, so let's get to it. Hi, it's Jamie with Jamie's Arts a la Cartes. Thank you so much for joining me. I have got an interesting, I think it's going to work, project for us. I'm going to take these cardboard tubes and turn them into a 4th of July bunting. So I've got garland, the tubes. I'm going to paint the tubes with gesso so it'll be a flat white. I've got this crepe paper that is Patriotic, and I've got some curly ribbon, and I'll probably dig out some twine. So where I want to start is with the painting so that it has a chance to dry. So let's see about getting this set up. And I don't really have to be real precise on this piece, but I just think that it would look better if it had white behind it. And if we end up doing this again, then we can always try it the other way. I think it would make it a little more rustic, but I'm interested in trying to create the garland. Let it's like poofing with kind of like fireworks out the top. And we are just recycling. Alright, so I found some more cardboard tubes. I've got them all painted, and I started cutting pieces that will decorate the outside. And while my glue gun over here heats up, I'm going to go ahead and cut enough for these, but then I will show you with these 4 that I saved how I got them to this shape. And then it'll just be a matter of gluing this crepe paper onto the cardboard tube, and then decorating the top, getting my little twine attached to it and all of that. And then we'll be able to assemble this bunting. Took a few steps, and it took me a hot minute to kind of figure out how this was going to actually work out best. But I think this process that we've got it going with now is going to be the best and easiest way to make this happen. So again, this is just a roll of crepe paper that happened to be in the red, white, and blue. And so I am just cutting enough for these last 4, and then hopefully by then my glue gun is warmed up And I'll show you how I just snip the edges and fold in, kind of like we did with that dollhouse when we made all those boxes and things. Reminded me of that. So there you go. And these are just approximate, but I try to make sure I got like a scooch extra kind of thing. And I'll have a little bit left if I need to, like here, the blue didn't cover there, but I'm thinking the way that I'm doing it now, number one, the box is a whole lot more sturdy, and I think I will be able to make it work. All right, so here are these four. And I don't know if I'm going to need this still, because I don't know how moist this is going to get, because I am going to try to use Elmer's glue on that body. Okay, so what they did, and I watched YouTube videos, of course they were using napkins, of course we're using crepe paper, and they were not making buntings. They were making just little, just like a little, for a little tiny gift. So just fold it in half, press it down, and then come back on either side of that crease and cut up a good inch or so, right? Maybe an inch and a quarter. This does not seem to make a difference, because again, our bottoms are going to be covered. So I do that. And then I press this back. Well, actually what I did first is I came in here and I went ahead and gave it just a little diagonal right here, right? Throw those away. But I do that before I bend them over, before I ever try to get the glue on there and all that stuff. Just seemed to work out just a little bit better. So, again, just a 45. And I'm eyeballing it. And then come and take this to where this comes down. One side tends to be thicker than the other, like where that wrap goes. So one side's a little bit harder to fold down than the other, but it's all doable. And then open it up a little bit, and you're going to put this in, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue here, here, and here. But what I want to do before I glue it, I do want to go ahead and give this a crease going this way. And then we can open it all back up. And this one is ready for glue. My glue smells like it's getting there, so let's get these other three done. Alright, so I think I've got our pattern figured out. I took the tubes, covered them in that crepe paper, that roll, which was red, white, and blue, which was perfect. I wanted to put, you know, imitation something sparkly at the top to to make people think of fireworks, but not really fireworks. So I wanted to make it like a little something, because I'm going to hang it on, ultimately I'm going to create some kind of base with my twine and my curly ribbon. Okay, but what I've got here is I've added this glue gun. Worked great, made it go fast. Put a little bit of glue inside behind the two knots, the 4 knots, 2 on each side. But on this particular garland, it has these stars every so many inches, right? Inch or so. So I pulled them off because I'm like, oh, that'll be a nice little sparkle for the front of the package here. So this is what we've got, and it's working out well. I let the seam be on the back because that'll be against that my little cubie wall there at work. And these, I'm not trying to make them at the same direction. That way it'll give it a little bit of movement, but it'll be uniform because it's the same thing. Now, will I go back? I might have enough. If I do, I might go back and add a third one because I always like the 3s, right? But we'll see once we've got them all made if I have enough to do that for each one. All right, to bring you up to speed where we are, we've got the tube. I've cut the raffia, and it is the same length, right? So the handles are the same. There's little knots, so just tie it inside. And then I'm going to hot glue those. Let me get my hot glue gun plugged in. And I'll show you how very simple, I've got these 3 done. I've got 6 more to do. That's all of their little inside. But I'm also using chenille stems because I'm thinking where I have this attached to whatever's going to hold it into the bunting, the garland. I might attach it with hot glue. That's a big one. I like it better when it's this size, right? Cut 3 pieces out of 1 chenille stick. And then once I weave that in and out of here, I can hot glue it to the base, to the string that'll be going through, and just give it one last little eye candy, right? So it'll look something like that when I'm done. That's the thought. Let me get all of them to this point. So I had to let these dry completely because this tissue paper is super fragile when it is damp. Okay, and I got everything cut ahead of time, so it's always easier to do it in an assembly line fashion, so that you can just sort of do the same thing over and over, and you get a little bit faster when you're doing it that way. So I have just a regular old hole punch. I pinch these together, and I'm coming in like maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch. I'm not measuring it, I'm eyeballing it because these will be setting, you know, kind of floating midair. And so I'm just going to, and I try to put it somewhere right on the line, right above it, right below it, and punch a hole. Now, I do try to get them about the same so that my handles will do what I need them to do. Let me pull that over just a smidge. Now, after I get it to this point, I do take my little jewelry pliers because it has a tapered end. Stick it in the hole and just wind it around, spin it around. And what that does is that reams out that hole just a little bit and helps me get my twine through there so much easier. All right, let's get all of our holes punched, and then we'll ream them all out, and then we will see how that's a little bit off from that. It honestly will not matter. There'll be so much to look at on these. It will not matter. And that's wrinkled, will not matter. This is not straight, will not matter. And if you put the this side up, you can literally look through and see exactly where your hole is going to go, and then punch it pretty much where you want it. Now since this strip is off a little bit, I'm still going to try to keep it even with the Alright, so I got our little packages done, and now I've been working on these little bows. I took a full length chenille and cut it into 3 pieces, so you get about 3 of these in one stick. And so basically to make this little simple bow, it's not going to be perfect, not intended to be perfect, but I try to find a midpoint, and then what I want to do is I want to kind of create a loop. And I want it to be like a soft round loop. I'm just using my fingernail to sort of get it into place. And then I want to wind it around that midpoint. And there's one, that's half of the bow. And then I'm going to do it again. And this will be down here. And we will again create the loop, and I want it to be the same size as the other one, and then I want to just going to bring it and secure it with this other piece. So one is longer than the other, so I'll use it to wind around. And something like that. Just a simple little bow. One more. That should be, let's pull that down so that it's, there we go. I want it to be a little bigger, something like that. And one tends to usually be longer than the other, so that's the one. I'm just going to wrap around. And something like that, and I'll pick whichever side looks the best when it gets to that point. Alright, so there are those. I'm done with that. So now I want to take my things that I want to use for the base, and what I think I'm going to do is create like 3 yards to be about 9 feet. I'm gonna just measure it, finger to shoulder, and then I'll have them all matched, so then it won't matter if it's exactly 3 yards. And then I'll Right, I got my base divided out, and I'm now attaching. I'll have extra of these, and I'll see how I'll incorporate them. But basically, I have a knot, I have a package, I have a bow. I start by getting all my little fringes away from the top, and then I want to glue the 2 handles here at the top so that they kind of will hook together. Doesn't matter if you can see the glue just a little bit, because it'll be covered by the bow. A whole lot of just waiting for that glue to set up. Should have got my little clamps, but I didn't, but that's okay. And then come to my little knot, dollop of glue, and make sure my handles don't come apart. If they do, just go back in and press them back together, and then lay the package right on top of that glue. and give it just a second to set up. And then I put a good dollop of glue on the bow. If they're not quite even, I was cutting them, but then they like to fray, so I'm just going to bend it up and pick which side looks the best. So I think I'll put glue on this side. Pretty good, substantial little dollop there. And then come in and lay it right across both of those. Pull the back up and kind of just create that sandwich and let the glue harden. Give it just a second to set up. And it goes pretty quick, so we'll just sort of move these over to the side so we can keep on going. I was thinking every other one to put 2. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that just yet, but just keep on creating these little spots for my Alright, so I have them all, the ones attached, and then the extra ones, what I decided is to go every 2 and then make another, like a 3rd tier even. So I'm going to use the extra twine that I have cut. I'm going to glue it here, tie it there, and let's see what it looks like. Okay. So let's glue this in here. I'll give it a good connection point right here. Keep it from spinning. And I've made some little tiny bows for right here. Alright, so here, and then put that there. And let it set. Give it just a second. Alright, then come in here and we'll tie it around here. Just a simple little knot. Kind of want it to be as long as possible to give it that tiered look. So pull it kind of tight. And then we'll get it connected about halfway. We'll we'll glue that to there. Down just a little bit. You can do that once it's cooled down just a smidge. Alright. And then we have these little bows. We have some of these left. So pick the best side. And then we'll cover up that little knot. Alright, I'm going to go hang it on the door just to give me an idea of what it'll look like hanging up. Alright, I'll be right back after I get it set up. Well, there it is hanging up. It'll look a little different when I get it hung up at work. I'll give you that'll be the thumbnail, I think. But there it is. Took bits and bobbles and made a 4th of July decoration. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, like it, share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, would you please consider subscribing? And well, until next time, happy crafting. I'll get you some close-ups, but then I'll get you that overall view too. Alright, until next time.